Let's move on to something pretty wild, the Hitman video. I'm super curious to see how this all unfolds, so let's experience this roller coaster of sneaking, clever tactics, and tons of close calls together.
In most Hitman missions, you have one objective: kill your target. But killing is wrong, and I don't want to do that. So I'm gonna complete the game without killing anyone, including my targets. However, since they do have to die for me to beat the game, I'm gonna make it so every single death is the result of someone else's choices. Whether the target simply isn't paying attention or someone else has it out for them, I will never shoot, stab, poison, or in any way deal the final blow to my target.
Oh wow, level uppers, this is gonna be intense. Can you imagine completing Hitman missions without actually killing anyone yourself? I mean, talk about a pacifist approach. I'm so intrigued to see how they'll manage to pull this off. No shooting, no stabbing, no poisoning. Just pure ingenuity and creativity.
Here's a quick example with our first mission and target in Dubai. Our target is Carl Ingram, and he has a pretty simple solution to our problem. If I disguise myself as a different hitman and take out a reporter for Carl, non-lethally of course, he will invite me up to his penthouse for a lovely drink. The thing is, I happen to loosen a guard railing around here, and it is now visibly loose and hanging off the side of the building. Despite this obvious danger, Carl invites me out and decides that he wants to lean on that railing in particular, thus falling to his demise as a result of a bit of tampering, but most importantly, Carl's negligence. I'm gonna find a way to beat every single mission in this way. Is it possible? Let's find out.
Oh my gosh, the first mission in Dubai is already off to a clever start. I can't believe they're disguising as a different hitman and taking out a reporter non-lethally. And then getting invited to a penthouse for a drink? Smooth moves. The whole guard railing situation is absolutely diabolical. Carl, honey, please pay more attention to your surroundings. I'm honestly amazed by this approach. Talk about thinking outside the box. Can they really pull this off for every mission? I'm on the edge of my seat here.
You may have noticed that there's another target in Dubai I haven't mentioned yet, Marcus Stuyvesant. There's a good reason for that. He is the problem child for this run. The way I had to get him to die from negligence is so ridiculous, I'm gonna save it for the end of the video, because everything else is just gonna seem easy in comparison.
Oh, we've got another target in Dubai, Marcus Stuyvesant. It sounds like he's going to be a real challenge for this run. The suspense is killing me. I can't wait to see how they'll tackle him with negligence. Saving the best for last, huh? I'm already so invested in this. If everything else is going to seem easy compared to Marcus, this is going to be a wild journey. What do you guys think? How is he going to pull this off?
So let's just move on to our next target, Alexa Carlisle. Alexa Carlisle lives in a big fancy mansion where she's faking her own death while simultaneously investigating the death of her brother, Zachary Carlisle. There's a whole murder mystery investigation that I can go down, but by role-playing as a particularly incompetent detective, I can actually get Alexa to die by hands other than my own in 2 different ways.
Whoa there. Choking someone out until they pass out? I'm not sure I'm okay with this. But hey, at least it's non-lethal, right? Still, I have to admit, this is taking the pacifist approach to a whole new level.
The first is by disguising myself as the detective and accusing the butler of murder, allowing the real murderer to target Alexa and take her out for me. This being said, I'm pretty sure that would land the butler a very long time in jail.
Our ingenious player is going undercover as a detective, but not just any detective, an incompetent one. It's like they're playing a game within a game. The best part. They're weighing the long-term consequences of their actions. I wouldn't want to see an innocent man go to jail either.
So I'm gonna go with option number 2. This option once again has me become the detective, but I can be even lazier this time. The mystery I'm supposed to solve is that of a murder disguised as Zachary offing himself. But the thing is, I can just immediately rule the case a suicide, and since I found this old letter in a secret room, Alexa immediately believes her brother took his life because of her poor choices, and throws herself off the highest balcony in the manor, allowing me to get the case file I need and leave mostly guilt-free.
It's wild how the player can just grab the case file and leave, mostly guilt-free. But honestly, I don't know if I could do the same. I mean, his actions led her to off herself. Yikes! What about you, my lovely level uppers? Would you feel guilt-free in this situation?
Now for my personal favorite mission for this challenge, Berlin. When I first started this run, I thought for sure that Berlin would be by far the biggest roadblock when getting every target to die from their own negligence. The reason I was so concerned is that this mission takes place in a seedy nightclub and the surrounding forest, with the goal being to kill 5 out of 10 different targets who are all armed and searching for you. At first it seemed impossible. There's no way 5 of these people could die from their own poor choices, but that's when I realized something. Nicotine. Since we're in a seedy nightclub and everyone hunting me is a grizzled guard, tons of people here will smoke cigarettes whenever they get the chance. They don't care what's near them while they smoke, and that's the secret to this mission. By loosening this valve, one of the guards ends up smoking next to a visibly leaking gas canister, causing him to blow himself up and throw his body into the murky water below.
This mission is just dripping with irony, level uppers. These guards are meeting their demise because of their own bad habits. It's unbelievable how our player turned a seemingly impossible situation into a clever opportunity. You know, it reminds me of a time when I faced a similar challenge in EverQuest. I was playing as a Shadow Knight, and I had to outsmart the Prince of Chardok. He was much stronger than me. I knew I couldn't take them head-on, so I had to use my knowledge of the environment and my abilities to lure them into a trap. I set up my pet next to him while I ran towards the entrance. Once I was in the clear, I sent my pet in and waited for the chaos to ensue. I waited until my hidden group members were able to pull the prince, then feign death just in time. It was so satisfying to see the prince's corpse when I returned to my group, all because he underestimated my resourcefulness. I guess the lesson here is that sometimes, our own weaknesses can be our undoing.
This trick could easily be done for 3 other guards using propane tanks. One is a sniper who will casually lean up against a stack of wood for a smoke, another a guard on a roof who leans against a railing to smoke, and a fourth who will stop to smoke by some grass. Somehow, none of them paid enough attention to see that they were standing on propane tanks that were leaking a white gas and making a loud noise, and thus all of them blew themselves to smithereens.
Oh my gosh. These guards are really not the brightest bulbs, are they? The player is basically using the same trick, and these guards are just falling for it, one after the other. It's like a domino effect of bad decision-making and explosive consequences. It makes me think back to when I was playing Mario and kept falling into the same pit because I couldn't time my jumps right. I was so frustrated, but eventually, I learned from my mistakes and nailed that jump. These guards, however, aren't getting a second chance to learn from their mistakes. They're literally going up in smoke. Always remember, friends, being aware of your surroundings and paying attention to details can save your life. Or at least prevent some embarrassing moments in video games.
And now we're on to the final guard. I just needed to get one more guard who absent-mindedly smoked and I'd be home free. But as I followed each guard through their complete cycle, I slowly realized none of the other guards will ever smoke. None of them ever walked near dangerous water they could slip into, did anything reckless, nothing. These guys were on their A game. I thought the run was over.
Oh man! I hope the run isn't over. How's he going to do this?
Until I thought, maybe if their recklessness won't kill them, someone else's will. Enter this guard. And just for fun, let's call him Terry. Terry's a terrible guard. He does nothing except lounge around his base, watch his cooking show, play video games, drink, and you guessed it, smoke. Terry smokes roughly every 2 to 3 minutes, and it just so happens that one of my targets walks right next to Terry every minute or two. By putting a propane tank down right where Terry smokes and my target walks to, with plenty of time for both of them to see it of course, no last second throws for me, I can get Terry to kill my target for me, and thus completing my goal of killing 5 targets in Berlin without actually killing anybody myself. I rode my bike into the night and moved on to my next mission.
Terry is the epitome of a slacker guard, isn't he? I mean, watching cooking shows, playing video games, and constantly smoking? Come on, Terry. You had one job. But, sometimes, one person's lazy day can be another person's golden opportunity. The player ingeniously took advantage of Terry's smoking habit and turned him into an unwilling accomplice. Talk about making the best out of a bad situation. It's a reminder that sometimes in life, you can achieve your goals by thinking outside the box and taking advantage of the circumstances around you. Of course, in a less lethal way than in this game. So, what do you think, level uppers? How would you handle a lazy coworker or teammate in real life? Share your thoughts in the chat.
This mission would take me to Chongqing. I had two targets, Imogen Royce and a man named Hush. I decided to take down Royce first. She resides in an underground laboratory with all sorts of cool sciencey stuff in it, but right now, I really don't care about any of that. I'm disguised as a man who's getting a tour of the area since I might invest in it. After a while of touring around, Royce takes me to a room and tells me all about her predictive modeling system that can predict with frightening accuracy what an individual will do once they're fired. None of it's guaranteed, of course, just likely. She then proceeds to leave me alone in the room with a big panel that lets me fire anybody I want. I proceed to fire 3 individuals. First, I fire Alicia Reynolds, an engineer. After that, I fire Jeremy Bold, a guard. Finally, I fire Sharon Reed, the operator of the core. Without these 3 in place, my target walks into an area that's just had the safety mechanism deactivated by an angry Alicia Reynolds, and a destroy all biological matter inside button that has been pressed by Sharon, as she was told to do. Before my target can react, her and her guard have gone up in flames, all just from me firing a couple people.
Oh, level uppers! This is an incredibly creative approach, isn't it? Who knew that firing people could lead to such a perfect chain reaction for the player's goal? But, let's think about the consequences of those actions for a moment. The player fired 3 people, who in turn unknowingly played a part in the target's demise. It's a bit chilling, isn't it? It reminds me of a time I had to make a tough decision about letting someone go from a project I was working on. I had to weigh the potential consequences of their actions and how it would affect the whole team. Thankfully, it didn't end up in anyone's demise, but it's a lesson in understanding how our choices can create a ripple effect. What do you think, my lovely level uppers? Have you ever had to make a difficult decision that had unintended consequences?
Now for Hush. Similar to Royce, he has all sorts of sciencey things happening in his building, but this time I care a lot. Hush is trying to develop mind control technology, and like the moral man he is, he's testing it on homeless people outside his building with the promise of money. Of course, he neglects to tell them that most subjects end up with fried brains, but that's hardly important. By disguising myself as one of the test subjects, Hush will try to control my mind in an experiment. However, 47 is far too mentally strong, or something like that, because it doesn't work. This causes Hush to become furious and try to take the experiment to dangerous brain cooking levels. However, his assistant doesn't let him, saying it's too dangerous. After I convinced her to take some time off, I headed back inside for another round of testing.
Whoa, level uppers, did you catch that? The video said he convinced the assistant to take time off, but what we saw was a brutal attack with a pipe. That's quite the discrepancy. I'm not sure about you all, but the use of violence here definitely caught me off guard, considering the description made it sound like a peaceful negotiation. It's always fascinating to see how these games can surprise us with their unexpected twists.
This time, Hush has a new assistant, except I think this one's on my team because she will not stop encouraging him to turn the machine onto brain fry mode. Which he does, causing, you guessed it, his brain to fry. She starts panicking about basically getting her boss killed, and I head on out of there.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe he was testing mind control tech on homeless people. That's just so messed up and unethical. I've got to hand it to 47 though, he's got some serious mental strength to resist that kind of manipulation. The scientist totally got what he deserved when his own brain got fried. I mean, talk about karma, right level uppers? Props to the player for that genius move and a big shout out to that assistant who was secretly on our side. She really came through in the end. You know, the first assistant was smart to take a break when she did, she probably saved herself from a fried brain too. Just goes to show, sometimes it's best to step away when things get too dangerous.
Now, I don't know about you, but after all that brain cooking, I could go for a drink. So for my final real mission, I headed down to Mendoza, Argentina to attend a party at a winery. My targets are Don Yates and Tamara Vidal, both significant figures in a crime syndicate. To throw me for a loop, my ally Diana is also there. She's here to talk with one of my targets, Tamara, about joining her group. She's attempting to join the group and take it down from the inside. Tamara, oblivious to this fact, agrees to set her up with a meeting with Don Yates and some other important members. Since I didn't want to miss out on the fun, I disguised myself as a winery tour guide and told them all about the fancy machines in the worst way possible.
In these spacious tanks, which could easily be able to contain a couple of hundred human bodies, the sugars in the wine are converted to alcohol. This is also where we squeeze the must into a fine juice using our grape presser. Come along.
I've always loved the idea of a party at a winery, it sounds so elegant and classy. But, whoa, things are definitely getting intense with Diana going undercover to infiltrate the crime syndicate. I'm really worried about her safety, but I have faith in our girl. And our player, disguising themselves as a winery tour guide? That's just pure genius. I gotta say, their dark humor with the winery equipment descriptions had me chuckling. It's such a stark contrast, right? This gorgeous winery setting, and then the sinister plan to use the equipment to kill people. I don't know about you, level uppers, but this mission has me on the edge of my seat.
Eventually, I got myself into the meeting where Diana is being initiated into the group, when something unexpected happened. Don Yates tries to kill Diana, but with Tamala thinking they're friends, she tried to defend her, causing Yates to accuse Tamala of being a traitor and getting his guard to kill her while taking Diana hostage. While Yates got everyone's story straight to cover up the death, Diana was then taken upstairs. I subdued all the guards and hid their unconscious bodies and waited for Yates to come upstairs to talk with Diana. I'm disguised as a guard, so once he enters the room, he doesn't care that I listen in. They talk a bit, and eventually, Diana stabs Yates. She shouts for me to finish him off, but I don't. I just kept sitting there. And then I stood and walked around a little bit. Yates was rolling around on the ground, moaning in pain and bleeding. And eventually, after I BM'd him a little bit, he just died. It was a pretty straightforward mission. All I really did was give a tour about wine, and both my targets eventually just died.
Whoa! That took quite a turn, didn't it? So, Don Yates tries to kill Diana, but instead ends up getting stabbed by her. I guess that's what they call poetic justice, huh? It's sad that Tamala had to pay the price for trying to do the right thing. Still, our player managed to stay, mostly, non-violent throughout the mission. It's ironic how Diana ends up asking the player to finish off Yates, but they refuse. Reminds me of this one time when my friend Larry and I got into a heated Rocket League match with some rivals. We could have gone all out and crushed them, but we chose to let our gameplay do the talking. Sometimes, you just have to let fate take its course.
Lastly, it was time for the final mission of the game, taking down the leader of the organization I've been after this whole time while he's on a train in the Romanian mountainside. I'm making this all sound intense, but this was such a straightforward mission, it was boring. I basically just snuck past a bunch of people on the train, and when I confronted my target, he gave me a needle to erase my memory as if I would actually choose to do that, so I just used it on him and never actually killed him.
We're finally at the last mission, level uppers. I can't believe it was so simple, just sneaking past people on a train. That's not what I'd expect from a climactic showdown, right? But hey, at least there's a memory erasing needle to spice things up a bit. I love how our player turned the tables and used it on the target instead of himself. That's thinking on your feet. But wait, there's more.
So, I want to talk about the real boss, Marcus. Marcus was the most frustrating target by a mile because I was so sure he'd be one of my easiest to get killed. By sounding an alarm, I can get both targets to skydive off the building, but the thing is, you can get people to slip on banana peels in this game, so I figured it would be easy to just get him to slip right before jumping and he'd fall off the building. Easy, right? Wrong. Turns out Marcus is banana-proof when skydiving. The other target, Carl, isn't banana-proof when he's jumping, but Marcus just goes right through him. I tried everything and I could not get him to slip while jumping. But
oh my gosh, I can't believe Marcus is actually banana-proof while skydiving. It's funny how the other target, Carl, isn't immune to the banana peel trick. Marcus is seriously the most frustrating target ever. You'd think it would be so simple to just get him to slip before jumping, right? I can totally feel your pain trying everything to make him slip. But hey, sometimes, life just throws you a curveball, or in this case, a banana-proof target.
despite that, that was fine. I had a backup. There was a way I could dress as Marcus's guard and lead him wherever I wanted. I would just take him to the side of the helicopter pad on the edge of the building and get him to slip there. Nope. He decided that area wasn't safe enough and refused to go anywhere near that spot. Actually, he decided he wouldn't go anywhere near the side of the building, including the spot we just came from.
Well, it seems like there was a backup plan to get Marcus to slip near the helicopter. But nope, he suddenly decided that the area wasn't safe enough. He just flat out refused to go anywhere near the edge of the building. It's such a bummer when your carefully crafted plans don't pan out. But props to the player for their persistence in trying to make Marcus slip. I'm sure they'll find a way to outsmart this pesky target eventually.
Eventually, I realized that inside the building, there's some weird light showroom. Inside that room are water decorations deep enough for someone to die when they fall in. But of course, I couldn't just get him to slip on a banana peel, because he refused to walk near the edges, and the edges he did walk near were guarded by weird cube lights. What I instead had to do was get him as close to an edge as possible, then get him to slip on a banana peel, falling in a way that got him as close to the water as possible. I then put down a banana peel so that when someone went to help him, they too would slip and fall. As they fell, their leg flew in front of them, kicking Marcus so that he was now partially submerged in the water. After that, when a guard came over to help, he helped the person who tried to help earlier, and when they got up, they accidentally pushed Marcus into the water, killing him. When I told you the way Marcus died was ridiculous, I meant it.
Wow, the way Marcus was finally defeated is absolutely bonkers. Those weird cube lights guarding the edges certainly didn't make things any easier. But the creativity here, using banana peels and causing a chain reaction, is just next level. I mean, getting him to slip on a banana peel, and then having someone else slip and kick him into the water? And then another guard accidentally pushing him further into the water, ultimately killing him. When you said the way Marcus died was ridiculous, you weren't kidding.
And with that, I had done it. I completed the game about killing people without killing anyone. And if that's not worth a like and a sub, I don't know what is. So thank you so much for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time.
Congratulations to Onion Butter for completing the game without killing anyone. That's a massive achievement. Level uppers, you should definitely give Onion Butter a like and a sub for this incredible feat. I'm so glad I got to share this entertaining video with all of you. I can't wait to see what other challenges Onion Butter will tackle in the future.